Let me ask you something. Have you ever sat there knowing exactly what you were supposed to be doing and just not done it? Not because you were too tired, not because you were sick, just because you didn't feel like it. And then you said to yourself, I'm lazy. Maybe it happened yesterday. Maybe it's happening right now. But what if I told you that what you're calling laziness might not actually be laziness at all? What if your inability to act isn't a character flaw, but a signal, a message from your mind or body that something deeper is happening underneath the surface? In this video, we're going to dig into the science of what we call laziness. Why it happens, what your brain is really doing, why blaming yourself might be making it worse, and, most importantly, what you can do about it. By the end, you won't just have a new perspective, you'll have tools, insight, and maybe a bit more compassion for yourself. Let's begin. Let's start with a bold idea. Laziness is not a real psychological concept, at least not in the way most people use it. In psychology, laziness doesn't exist as a clinical diagnosis or a fixed trait. It's not in the DSM. It's not a disorder. It's not even considered a behavior. It's an interpretation of a behavior. When we call someone lazy, what we're actually doing is applying a moral judgment. We're saying, you didn't do what I expected, therefore you lack value. Or worse, we apply it to ourselves. I didn't do what I expected, therefore I'm defective. But let's look deeper. Studies show. A 2010 study in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine analyzed behavioral avoidance in people labeled unmotivated and lazy. The results? Most of these individuals weren't avoiding tasks because they didn't care. They were overwhelmed, burned out, or anxious. Another study from the University of Melbourne found that many people who procrastinate do so because of perfectionism. They fear not being able to perform perfectly, so they avoid the task entirely. Laziness becomes a convenient label when we don't know how to deal with deeper emotional blocks. Let's break that down. To understand why you avoid action, we have to talk about the brain. Your brain has one job: keep you alive with minimal effort, and it's extremely good at it. One of its core principles is energy conservation. This made sense for our ancestors, who had to survive without guaranteed food or shelter. Wasting energy on non-essential tasks could mean death. So our brains evolved mechanisms to prioritize rest and safety. But here's the kicker. We're still walking around with that same energy-conserving brain, even though our environments have changed dramatically. Now, instead of hunting and gathering, we have emails, deadlines, gym memberships, side hustles, and taxes. The modern brain is constantly being asked to operate at high cognitive loads. So what happens? Your brain starts resisting effort. It looks for instant gratification. It prefers low-effort activities, like scrolling or binge-watching. It finds discomfort, even minor discomfort, threatening. And here's where it gets really interesting. When you're facing a task, let's say writing an essay, your limbic system, the emotional brain, evaluates the situation first. If it detects potential discomfort, pain, failure, or shame, it sends a message: avoid. But your prefrontal cortex, the logical planning part, knows the essay is important. So now, there's a battle. The emotional brain wants safety. The thinking brain wants results. If the emotional brain wins, you binge Netflix. You clean the kitchen instead. You take a nap, just to rest your eyes. This isn't laziness. It's neural conflict. And if your prefrontal cortex is tired, from poor sleep, stress, or decision fatigue, it can't win that battle. That's not moral failure. That's neurobiology. Let's talk about the hidden reasons you're not acting, the emotional blocks that get mislabeled as laziness. 1. Fear of failure. What if you try and you're not good enough? What if people judge you? What if you judge yourself? This kind of fear often shows up as procrastination. You delay, not because you're lazy, but because you're trying to protect your self-image. 2. Perfectionism. Perfectionism is the silent killer of action. If you feel like something has to be flawless or not done at all, you'll often choose the latter, because it's safer. Many perfectionists are wrongly called lazy. In truth, they're exhausted by the pressure to be perfect. 3. Lack of clarity. Ever told yourself, I need to get my life together, but didn't know where to start? Vague goals equals vague action. The brain doesn't know what to do with everything. It needs concrete tasks. 4. Low self-worth. When you don't believe you deserve success or happiness, you'll sabotage yourself subconsciously. You avoid taking steps forward, not because you're lazy, but because some part of you believes you're not worthy. Here's where things get worse. When you don't act, you feel guilty. You judge yourself. You say things like, I'm just lazy. I have no discipline. Why can't I be like everyone else? This shame makes the task feel even heavier. So you avoid it more and feel worse. And the spiral continues. Psychologists call this the self-reinforcing cycle of avoidance. It's like being stuck in mental quicksand. The more you struggle with judgment, guilt, shame, the deeper you sink. What breaks the cycle? Not discipline, not more productivity hacks, but compassion and understanding. Let's talk solutions. Practical tools backed by psychology. 1. The 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. If it's longer, commit to just the first 2 minutes. Often, action leads to more action. Motivation doesn't precede action. Action creates motivation. 2. Make your goals stupidly specific. Vague, get in shape. Specific, do 10 push-ups at 9 a.m. in the kitchen. The brain needs a clear target. Ambiguity breeds avoidance. 3. Externalize your inner critic. When you hear that voice saying, you're lazy, try saying, that's just my brain trying to protect me from discomfort. This helps you detach from the shame and see the pattern objectively. 4. Work in tiny, consistent bursts. Instead of 2-hour marathons, try 25-minute sprints. Use the Pomodoro technique. Your brain handles intensity poorly, but it thrives on consistency. 5. Create action triggers attach a behavior to an existing habit. Example, after I brush my teeth, I will write 1 sentence of my essay. This leverages habit stacking to automate motivation. 6. Change the language. Stop saying, I have to. Start saying, I choose to. Your brain responds very differently to autonomy versus obligation. Here's the truth. You're not lazy. You're human. And like every human, your brain is wired for safety, comfort, and minimal effort. When you don't act, it's not because you're broken. It's because your brain is trying to protect you in the only way it knows how. But now, you know more. You understand the mechanisms, and you have tools to create change. So the next time you feel lazy, try asking yourself, what am I afraid of? What do I actually need right now? What's one small step I can take, even if I don't feel ready? Because action isn't about being perfect. It's about being willing. If this video helped you reframe how you see laziness, leave a comment below. Tell me, what's something you've been avoiding, and what small step can you take today? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you're not lazy. You're learning to listen to yourself. See you in the next video.